I could do this all day. So if you're new to Fight Scene Friday and this channel and you love movies and martial arts, make sure you hit that subscribe button. What I love about this fight scene is we see the deadly efficiency of the Winter Soldier versus obviously the acrobatic heroics of Captain America. Now, Cap's character is one of empathy, he's one of justice, he's a man with a heart. And what you see in the fight scene with the moves you see Cap pull off is he's trying to obviously disable the Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is trying to kill Cap. He's trying to kill whoever's in his way. Like, he's got a mission. His mission is to assassinate. And you see that with the way that he fights, in his style of fighting. The fight scene starts off, Winter Soldier's hunting Black Widow. Black Widow, you can see, is terrified because she's had a history of the Winter Soldier and she knows how deadly he is. And this is kind of like one of the only times you've seen Black Widow in the MCU be a bit terrified. Now, this gives Cap the opportunity to come in and save the day, kind of heroic shot with him coming in with the shield and the shield clashing with the metal arm of the Winter Soldier. But then there's a sequence that comes after that of the Winter Soldier going from weapon to weapon. So he's got an assault rifle, he shoots that, runs out of bullets, goes to a submachine gun. You know, Cap manages to disarm him in a great sequence, and then he switches straight away to his handgun. Cap manages to have a little exchange with him. You see him flip over. The Winter Soldier manages to disarm him and take the shield, and then you see him hold the shield in a pose for a moment, you know, which I thought was quite, obviously it's a little foreshadowing to Winter Soldier becoming the new Captain America as he does in the comics, as paying homage to that, which was a nice shot. But then you see earlier in the movie when Cap was chasing the Winter Soldier through the shield, and the Winter Soldier, with his back turned around and caught the shield. You know, and that was like a kind of shocking moment. And I remember we saw that in the trailer as well. And that's the first time you see anyone really catch the shield in the MCU when Captain America throws it at him. And then he throws it back at Cap, and Cap can't even really handle the strength of the throw. So the same thing you see, a kind of call back to that, and he throws the shield, misses Cap, and it goes straight into a van. And then there's this beautiful exchange that happens with the Winter Soldier. He pulls out a knife straight away, and then there's an exchange between him and Cap. And you see some of like the Filipino martial arts influence that he has with the character. And I thought that's quite fitting for the Winter Soldier's character, being a soldier. Many soldiers training a lot of Filipino martial arts, learning like stick, knife, combat martial arts training. And I thought that was a nice element to add, because I've never seen that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe until now. And I really enjoyed that about the fight scene. I mean, what it tells you about when the soldier's character is that he's, like I said, he's an efficient warrior who can use whatever weapon he needs, whether he's his empty hand, whether he's using an assault rifle, a submachine gun, a handgun, a knife. He's very efficient with his moves, and he's very quick to draw his weapon. Cap, on the other hand, he's very acrobatic in his movements. You know, obviously being a super soldier, his body is enhanced and he's able to jump high, run fast, move efficiently, more efficiently than the average human. So they brought it out in this fight scene by having him move very extravagantly. What I liked is that, again, even in his facial expression, you see really what he's trying to do is stop the Winter Soldier by knocking him out, you know, by subduing him, by arresting him, by, you know, apprehending him. Well, Winter Soldier, on the other hand, is trying to kill Captain America, as he was trying to kill Black Widow. The fight scene, like Sebastian Stan, who played the Winter Soldier, said that he was practicing for weeks with the knife. You know, he said he was in his kitchen, just spinning the knife. It'd be, you know, friends would take the mickey out of him because all he was doing was, he had this knife in his hands, just spinning it. So the actors obviously put a lot of hard work into the fight scenes, and it shows because you see shots of them obviously in the fight. There's some more extravagant movements, like I think there's a German suplex move, belly to back German suplex move that Cap applies to the Winter Soldier during the fight. I'm not sure if Chris Evans actually did that movement, but I did see some of the behind the scenes footage, and it starts off with him on the ground and he does a nice kick up. So I don't know, it didn't really show if he'd done that specific movement. They had some good stunt doubles because the shots are very well cut together. Now, obviously, with Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan, they're not trained martial artists, but obviously they trained very hard for the role, so they did have some fight training. But with some of the more extravagant movements, like the flips, and like I said, with the German suplex moves like that, you'd have to have stunt people to come in to perform those kind of movements, and they would have been doubled anyway, because even some of the top performers get doubled, and Jackie Chan talks about that a lot. He talks about how even he's doubled sometimes in movies, even though he's able to perform the stunts. Sometimes, just for time's sake, you need more efficient martial artists to come in and perform those moves. The story behind this fight is, this is the moment in which it was like a climactical moment, in the movie, and this movie is so good. This is one element that really is like the centerpiece of the movie, because it is about Cap reuniting with his friend. Now, at this point in the fight, he doesn't realize who Bukky is, so he's going full force to try and stop the Winter Soldier. And again, Bucky's brainwashed, so he doesn't have any idea who Captain America is. And we see that at the end of the fight, when then Cap's like, Bukky, and he's like, who's Bukky? Who the hell is Bukky? You see a different intensity in this fight than you do, say, with the end fight scene that happens later on in the movie. It's only once Cap discovers who Bukky is, then when you see him fighting Bukky in other situations, like I said, the fight scene at the end of this movie, in Captain America Civil War as well, when Bukky is brought back into that brainwashed state in the embassy, and he has to fight the Winter Soldier. He's kind of holding back a little bit there as well. They never really get into a conflict as intense as this fight scene is. And again, the Winter Soldier really is shown how deadly he is by the fact that he moves from weapon to weapon, trying to efficiently kill Captain America. Even at one point, obviously, with that knife exchange, there's one where he tries to do an overhand stab, and he uses the strength of his arm to obviously try and stab Cap, misses, and then tears through the van. Which really shows the intent. He loses his weapon, and he still comes up, and he's got another knife in the back in his utility belt. He's got another knife, and he quickly draws that so quick you don't even see the draw when it happens during the fight. But there's another knife after he's been disarmed. That's character through action. It's showing who the Winter Soldier is as a warrior, what his mindset is. His mindset is to kill. Captain America, again, he's got a shield. That alone tells you he's more about defense. You rarely see him fire a gun. You do see it a couple times, but you rarely see him fire a gun. You rarely see him with knives. Even when he does have a knife, when he disarms one of the thugs at the beginning of the movie, he throws a knife at one of the guys who tries to sound the alarm, but it's not a kill shot. He hits him in the arm, and then he knocks him out. So Cap's always trying to disable his opponents, and you see that in this fight. Fight choreographer in this film was Chris Cornell, and what I thought he did well was he showed through action the Winter Soldier's character through the deadly use of different weapons, his efficiency, his determination through action. What I thought he did well with Captain America was show his heroic side with his acrobatic movements, very extravagant. Also, the fact that he wasn't trying to, his movements aren't deadly, but they're still very intentional. Like, he's trying to disable the Winter Soldier, he's trying to knock him out, he's trying to finish him in a way that he can apprehend him, as opposed to the Winter Soldier, who's trying to finish his targets in Captain America and in Falcon and Black Widow. He's trying to finish them in a deadly efficient way. And again, with this fight scene, you see it in terms of his use of weapons. Cap has a shield, which is a very defensive weapon, as opposed to the offensive weapons of the Winter Soldier. In a knife, you see a handgun, you see a submachine gun, you see a rifle. So he goes from weapon to weapon, and he's always ready to draw the weapon to finish the job, because it's more efficient to do that. And I thought that was really good, and it told the story very well. It showed the character through action, which again, a lot of fight scenes, I think good fight scenes do this. They show character through action, and maybe the audience don't necessarily know this when they're watching intellectually, but subconsciously you can feel what's going on. You can feel the intensity. You can feel who the Winter Soldier is in this moment. You can feel who Captain America is in this moment. And again, Winter Soldier is moving very mechanically. He's been brainwashed. He's a machine in a way. He's a Terminator. So his only concern is to complete the mission. So his movements emulate that kind of ethos of completing the mission. In Captain America, very human, very warm kind of character, very honourable. He's trying to fight to, one, survive, two, to apprehend, to disable this Winter Soldier from killing his friend and his colleague in Black Widow. So his movements are very heroic, you know. The use of acrobatics, I feel, added to the whole superhero element to him, as well as his efficient use of different martial arts. He does a flying knee within the fight scene, you know, like a Tony Jaa style Muay Thai flying knee. Again, German suplex. You know, so it shows he's studied different art forms. He's able to handle himself hand-to-hand combat against an opponent with a weapon in terms of the knife. So obviously he's had some sort of Filipino martial arts training, possibly. I felt that they showed those elements very well in the fight. So the story behind the fight is always shown in the character through action, and I felt that Chris Cornell did a great job of this, and obviously the Russo brothers did a great job of bringing that out of Captain America, that part of his character out in the action within the movie. So, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you become part of the notification squad so you don't miss another fight scene breakdown for Fight Scene Friday. Till then, I'm Asten Regis, and I'll see you next time for another Fight Scene Friday. Peace!